manageable uh, evacuation centers. For the GHQ, almost all our targets were exceeded. So on joint force planning, this is because of the number of multilateral exercises and humanitarian assistance and disaster relief exercises, responses that began in Mayon and was also there in Typhoon Christine in northern Luzon recently, in Mindanao. We exceeded the targets, and I'm very proud of our GHQ, and I overworked them with demands, but that's the way the needs come nowadays. Government arsenal, it paid 98% or 60 million rounds. Now, what is the problem of the government arsenal? There is a worldwide shortage of propellants. It is a seller's market. And no matter how far in advance you order propellants, sometimes they will just cancel the order and pay the penalty and sell to the next highest bidder. Now, for precursors of propellants, the biggest manufacturers are Colombia, Brazil, China, of course, that's out of the question, South Africa, and the United States. The United States uses all their propellants and imports more. And all of this because Ukraine's utilization of propellants is significantly high. And so there is a worldwide shortage of propellants. On NDCP, the targets are 100%. Now, the teacher-to-student ratio of 1:10, we are still reviewing the skill sets of who teaches what. Disaster resiliency of communities. The targets were met. However, a lot of these have local government acceptance. That is why I reset the target for next year to the speed and accuracy of prediction and the speed of response, and the adequacy of the warnings given people. Unfortunately, experience has it that you have to be a little bit vivid in your warnings. If not, people won't listen. And we also need to protect ourselves against fake news. Fake news comes into play that's saying, hey, get out, there's going to be a big disaster or whatnot. So that is a challenge that we deal with every day. And because we are concentrating now on response rather than the other, for example, resilience mechanisms, which are best given to the other technical departments, I expect that we will do a better job. By the way, we also have a problem with personnel in OCD. Why? Regional directors are political appointees. Therefore, our people, much as I would like to promote them to regional directors, they don't want to accept it, because then they don't have security of tenure anymore. So maybe that's something that we can work with to professionalize the service. For veteran services, PIVAW accomplished its annual targets. However, for this year, I changed the target to number of hospices that they can put up and start running. Now, for the Veterans Memorial Medical Center, this needs a little bit of a talk. It has been there since 1947, I believe. It is an old structure, and it does not do justice to the veterans. Our infection rates are twice the norm of a hospital because it's a World War II-like structure where you have a big dormitory with only one comfort room in several places. So, it also can only attend to 7% of the number of actual veterans. The rest are on reimbursements. So, the President launched a program which is under the Veterans Health Service Program. Number one, we decentralize clinical. You're more familiar with the terminology, diagnostic and clinical, to 15 what we call Valor clinics nationwide. There are now 2 in existence. There will be 15 to collocate with our station hospitals, where a veteran can go throughout the Philippines, have his blood drawn, get simple prescriptions, and that will be on consultation, will be on a telemed basis, on a secure network, and a veteran will have an app where the veteran can be monitored and can manage his or her health care in a way which is proactive. Secondly, if the veteran requires intervention, then we airlift that veteran to Manila. Secondly, the Veterans Memorial Medical Center will be torn down because it's an unmanageable structure, miles and miles of cement. There will be an advanced capability center, a big outpatient center that will be collocated near a subway exit to make it accessible to local veterans. Thirdly, we will try to construct a big triage area, a big cemented area with a big triage area because it will be the most resilient area that will be able to accept large helicopters in case of an earthquake. Lastly, we will also put up a medical waste disposal facility because it will be the only government health center in this area with a medical waste disposal facility. Lastly, we will not allow it to be used for purposes other than to give medical care to veterans. I think any other use does not honor the memory of our veterans. They have trust receipts income from the subway. However, the capital outlays still need to be funded. Also, we discovered that since its inception, it was only created by basis of a land grant and subsumed by subsequent budgets and the Executive Order 292. However, it has been operating throughout these years without an operating charter. So we will work with you once again to have the charter of the Veterans Health Service so that it is institutionalized properly for good governance and sustainability. On the financial accomplishments of the department, the total budget for 2024 was 385 billion, including continuing appropriations. 92% of the budget was obligated, and this includes pensions, by the way. And the disbursement rate is at 86%. On the first semester, the total budget for 2025 is 370, including continuing appropriations. Total obligated amounts already 50%, with a disbursement rate of 72%. Those next slide will show the comparatives, the graph. So our obligation and disbursement rates, the disbursement rate continues to be conservative because we do not pay if we do not see results. And we do not hesitate to sue those that have not performed in accordance with the contract or to blacklist. Please add the relevant information. Percentage as share of GDP, it's 1.19 to include non-core. But for core, perhaps that will go lower. Comparatively to with other countries, Thailand, it can live with 1.2 because it has already front-loaded the purchase of a lot of advanced equipment. It has a fleet of 100 multi-role fighters, actually, in its arsenal. With Japan, it's 1.20 as a share of GDP because its exports are extremely large, but that's going to increase. Singapore has been really consistently high. And that's based on available numbers. Naturally, the accuracy cannot be guaranteed because a lot of it is not reported. Okay, next slide. Soldier to population ratio, troop strength, 1 soldier per 677 Filipinos. So it's getting a little better, but that is based on the old mission area, non-CADC mission, not adjusted. So that will be a lot lower because you have to substitute a person, notional person, with the number of area of maritime domain you need to patrol. Your Honors, that concludes my presentation. And
Ewan. Sorry. Dula. Okay. May I request our techs from the committee to fix the microphone of the good secretary? In the meantime, the committee will now invite questions from the members, particularly on the utilization of the previous budget and the proposed allocation for fiscal year 2026. As part of the House's commitment to greater transparency in the budget process, and in line with the current leadership's initiatives in the Committee on Appropriations to foster a more participatory budget process, we shall read the questions submitted by the civil society organizations after all members have propounded their questions to the agency. Secretary Teodoro and his team are requested to provide the necessary clarifications and to respond directly to the issues at hand to ensure that this committee and the public following this proceeding are fully informed of the anticipated impact of the proposed budget of the DND and its attached agencies. May I remind our distinguished colleagues that each member is allotted 5 minutes for questioning or interpellation, excluding the responses of the resource persons. When you hear the first bell, it indicates that you have 30 seconds left to conclude your questions. The second bell signifies the lapse of your allotted time. In accordance with the long-standing and respected tradition of the House of Representatives to accord preferential treatment to the minority members, followed by the independent and majority members in an alternating manner. The Chair now recognizes from the minority, Representative Kaka Bagao from the Dinagat Islands.
Good afternoon, sir. Madam Chair and members of the DND. At the onset, I would like to express my support to the budget of the DND, maybe including even the augmentation, if needed, for other requirements that you may need for more effective operation. And I would like to also thank the